Hey, welcome everyone. As you know, this is Shirley of Angel Hack, the organizing team of the Hello Future Hackathons. Welcome to week 3 of the hacking period. Keep up the great work, everyone, and let's focus on getting noticed by Hedera and its ecosystem partners through producing quality projects. And we have a share of 250,000 across the main tracks, bounty problem statements, and a small portion for the side quest, which rewards your AMA participation or your ask your mentors anything participation. So with a prize pool this big, 250,000, and such a strong ecosystem support, it's no wonder that Apex Hackathon become one of the most anticipated Hedera Hackathon of 2026. And we're excited to see the amazing projects you'll create. We'll wait for that, okay? March 23rd, 11:59 Eastern Time. That's our submission deadline. But it's not just because about the prize, right? This hackathon is powered by an incredible lineup of partners, including AWS, Neuron, Hashgraph Online, Bonzo, and Pyro, all bringing their expertise and support to help you build something truly impactful. Now, without further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce today's speaker and mentor, Gaurang Torvekar of Bonzo. He'll guide us through building AI agents on Bonzo Finance. And by the way, if you're already building for the AI and agents main track, if you haven't yet, it will be a great opportunity to tackle Bonzo's bounty statement. So a common question for me is, can I participate only in Bonzo's bounty without joining the main tracks of Apex? So my answer for you is yes, you can do that. You can focus solely on Bonzo's bounty if you like. And of course, you're also welcome to submit to the main tracks as well. All right, Bonzo's bounty offers 8,000 USD in prizes, so it's a great opportunity to explore. Now, if you ask me, Charlene, please feel how am I going to ask my questions? So please feel free to ask questions during this session at any time during this session by typing in on the live chat, and we'll address it at the end. Everything if time permits. And if your question comes later, that's completely fine. Please fill out the form that I'm about to share on the chat right now. All right, so you can fill out that form and you can ask us any question if it comes later. And if you don't have any questions right now, you need to digest it. You need to sink in everything that you have learned. It's okay. You can put your questions there, okay? We're going to connect you with Gaurang through email. But what I'm going to do is I'll get an answer from him and then I'll email back the answers to you. All right. So for anyone who has received an email from me answering those AMA questions, those workshop questions, yes, I do that. So you can trust that I'm going to give your questions to Gaurang, right? Okay, now I'll hand things over to Gaurang to kick off the workshop. Gaurang, the stage is yours. Please take it away.
Hey, thanks, Lynn. Thanks for the kind words and the great introduction. So, hi everyone. I'm Gaurang. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Bonzo. So, what is Bonzo? Bonzo is the liquidity layer of Hedera. So, we are an open source, non-custodial lending protocol, bridge aggregator, and yield optimization engine. So, Bonzo essentially, we want to bring more liquidity to Hedera. So, that has been our mission from day one. So, let me get into all that. But first, let's introduce me and my team. So I started this project like almost 2 years ago in 2024, early 24, with my co-founder Brady. So Brady, he has been so both Brady and we have a lot of experience in the software industry. I myself have more than 13, 14 years of experience in the software industry as a whole. And Brady also has more than 13, 14 years of experience. So before joining Bonzo, Brady was actually working at Hedera. So not Hedera, but the company actually building Hedera, which was called Swirls Labs at that time. And before Hedera, he used to work at Cloudflare and DataStax, which, as you know, are some of the biggest software companies in the world. I myself, I've been a serial entrepreneur. I have founded multiple startups until now. And before that, I used to work as a software developer. So I'm a software developer by background, and I've been starting, multiple companies as a CTO. In the blockchain space itself, I've been working in the blockchain space for more than 8 years now. My first blockchain was Ethereum back in 2016, and I've been writing smart contracts in Solidity on Ethereum since Ethereum was on the testnet actually. So I was running the Ethereum testnet on my laptop back in the days. We have an amazing team at Bonzo, Kimraj, Nikhil, Randy, who have been instrumental to getting us where we are right now. And we also have some amazing advisors. Great. So this is a workshop about Bonzo and how to win this hackathon, right? If it was up to me, again, I participated in a lot of hackathons back in the days, right? In those days, you had to actually go and bootstrap a new application, start from scratch. But now you can just go to Cloud Code and say, "Hey, Cloud Code, why don't you build me a great application for the hackathon that can win me the first prize?" And make it good, work hard, do some nice things. But you know what's wrong with this prompt here? The worst thing about this prompt is Claude Code will build something really generic for you, right? Because the number one important thing, the most important thing for any white coding tool, any agentic coding tool out there right now is context, right? So if you give this kind of a prompt, Claude Code won't have any context at all. Claude Code won't know what to build. It will build you something generic. So if you can take away one thing from this workshop today, is how can you get more context about Bonzo? What is Bonzo? What we have built, what we are going to build, and how the whole Hedera ecosystem works. If I can give you that context today, I think it will make it very easy for you to build AI agents. It will make it very easy for you to build applications using agentic coding frameworks like Claude Code, Codex, or any other tool out there. Yeah. So yeah, number one thing, this kind of a prompt is not going to work. Claude Code will not build anything good for you. So yeah, having said that, let's go into Bonzo, what we have built, what we are doing, and then at the end, I will also give you some ideas on what kind of AI agents you can build using Bonzo, right? So today we are going to do a deep dive in Bonzo as a project, all the various Bonzo components, and then we'll go more deeper into the Bonzo vaults section. So we'll do some technical analysis of one of the smart contracts that will give you a better understanding of how the smart contracts work, how Bonzo vaults work, and then you can actually prompt much better using Cloud Code. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, what is the mission of Bonzo Finance? The mission of Bonzo Finance is to build the liquidity layer of Hedera. So we want to unlock liquidity for lending, borrowing, swapping, doing all these things, and enabling advanced DeFi functionalities, right? So when we started Bonzo back in the days, like almost 2 years ago, on Hedera, the DeFi ecosystem was very nascent. It was just coming up. And one of the biggest projects on Hedera was Saucer Swap, right? And beyond Saucer Swap, there were a few other small projects, but Saucer Swap was the biggest one. So we saw a gap in the market. We saw that, okay, Hedera has a DEX, but it doesn't have a lending protocol. And that's when we decided that, hey, let's go and fork Aave V2, which is one of the most like battle tested, battle hardened lending protocols in Web3. We said, okay, let's take Aave V2, fork it, and then deploy that on Hedera. It took us some time again because there was no chat GPT at the time. It was there, but it wasn't as good as it is right now. Uh, so we had to actually change a lot of the contracts from Aave V2 because Hedera and Ethereum, although Hedera is like EVM compatible, it doesn't work as it is. And that's also because of the HTS tokens, which is the Hedera token service tokens. So at that time, especially the ERC20 tokens could not work very well on Hedera. So we had to customize some of the Aave contracts to make them compatible with HTS, make them compatible with Saucer Swap, make them compatible with the oracles on Aave. So we started with the Supra Oracle, and that's how we have built Bonzo. As I said, so one of the main components of Bonzo is the Bonzo Lend protocol. And last year, when all the Web3 ecosystem went had a lot of hype, and we had the bull market. Our TVL, it reached, I think, more than $60 million. It has gone down now, obviously, because it's a bear market. So we are around 18, 19 million nowadays for Bonzo Lend. So that is like the biggest part of our business. That is the biggest part of the protocol, Bonzo Lend. And then we also have Bonzo Vaults. So we launched Bonzo Vaults in December last year, 2025. And since then, Bonzo Vaults have also grown quite a lot, especially in the bear market. And we just reached $1 million in TVL last week. I don't know where it is right now, but it keeps fluctuating, as you know. But yeah, Bonzo vaults are still in a beta phase because we are still kind of figuring out the small kinks at the end. In software development, building like the 90% of the software takes less time, but the last 10% takes forever. Making it perfect, solving all the bugs, figuring out all the small edge cases, that takes forever. So we are hoping that Bonzo vaults will come out of beta in this month or the next month. Let's see how it works out. But yeah, anyway, so I'll go into depth about Bonzo Vaults. But Bonzo Vaults essentially is a fork of DeFi finance. And using Bonzo Vaults, you can supply liquidity on Saucer Swap, on HBARX as well later on. And it does automatic rebalancing and auto compounding of your yield. So what happens is once you supply liquidity on Bonzo through Bonzo Vaults, we have these harvester bots which keep on compounding your yield, compounding your rewards, and it just works automatically. You don't have to do anything. And another thing that we are working on is Bonzo Bridge, and we are hoping to launch it by next month, again in a beta to begin with. And Bonzo Bridge will be an integration with Layer 0 Stargate. So Layer 0, through the Stargate protocol, they have launched on Hedera, and we will be doing another integration with them. So on the same UI on Bonzo, you'll have Lend, you'll have Vaults, and you'll have Bridge as well. As I said in the beginning, we want to be the liquidity layer of Hedera, and we want essentially all the liquidity on Hedera to flow through Bonzo. And what we envision is that, as you know, Hedera is a smaller chain as compared to other blockchains, and we believe that growing the pie will help Bonzo at the end of the day, because if the pie becomes bigger, Bonzo will grow with that as well. So we are here to help the ecosystem. We are here to grow the ecosystem, and that's why this initiative is also very important, because if you can get more assets, if you can get more liquidity on Hedera, it will benefit everyone on the chain. So yeah, let's get into Bonzo vaults. So first of all, let's look at what are the types of vaults that exist right now. So if you go to app.bonzo.finance and if you go to the vaults page, you will see that there are currently two main types of vaults. The first one is single asset DEX, and second is dual asset DEX. So yeah, as I was saying, we are at $1.03 million in TVL now, which is quite cool, and I'm proud of that. So we have a total of 26 vaults right now. Out of that, most of the vaults, almost like 21 vaults, are single asset DEX vaults, and 4 of them are dual asset DEX. So what is a single asset DEX vault? So I think again, this vault is based on the Ichi protocol. It's called. So what it does is it takes. Essentially, when you go to any DEX like Uniswap or similar DEX, and if you want to provide liquidity, in that case you have to provide both the assets, right? Uh, but using the Ichi protocol, what you can do is you can only supply one asset. And it does rebalancing in the background. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah, using the Ichi protocol, you can supply only one asset, and using that one asset, it does some engineering in the background, and it provides liquidity to both the assets in the background. But as a user, you don't need to spend both assets. You need to spend only one asset, right? So let's say you have a lot of Dovo tokens or you have a lot of USDC tokens. In that case, you can just supply one asset and be done with that. So Uh, so using single asset DEX vaults, you supply the same asset, but in the background, it sometimes gets converted into two assets. A portion of your assets get converted into the other token as well. So if you look at the Dovo single asset vault, the 7-day APY on that has been 35%. The 30-day APY, which is like the average across the last 30 days, has been 20.27%, and the vault TVL is almost $477,000, which is close to half a million. So what happens essentially is uh, this this vault, it takes your assets, it deploys that on the saucer swap in the liquidity pool, and it keeps on auto compounding your yield and your rewards on a day-to-day basis. At regular intervals, it keeps on harvesting and auto compounding your rewards. And the second type of asset is a dual asset DEX vault. So I'll be going through this contract in detail later on. But the idea here is that in a dual asset DEX vault, you have to supply both the assets. So if you take the example of USDC H bar, you have to supply both USDC and H bar at the same time. You can't just supply one asset. You have to supply both the assets. And if you look at the USDC H bar vault, the TVL in that vault is around $108,000 across all the users. The 7-day APY has been 61.9%. 30-day APY is 92.2%. And this is actually one of the most popular vaults on Bonzo right now. Again, remember that this APY is not indicative of future performance. As you know, this is based on the past performance, right? So based on the last 7 days and based on the last 30 days, this is the APY. It doesn't mean that it will always be 92%. It might go up, it might go down. You never know what happens in the blockchain space, right? Yeah, this is only indicative. So yeah, that was about the types of vaults and how the vaults work. So let's go through some smart contracts. So we'll do like a technical deep dive now. So yeah, how do Bonzo vaults work, right? In the background, how do they exactly work on a technical level? So Bonzo vaults is a fork of Beefy Finance. So the perspective at Bonzo project, our whole philosophy has been not to reinvent the wheel. We always use protocols that have been battle tested, that are very successful, open source, and we fork them. That way, we don't need to go through all the security challenges again, and we can be sure that the protocols themselves are very safe and industry standard essentially, right? Having said that, Beefy vaults, so essentially the Beefy Finance protocol, which is the backbone of Bonzo vaults. These vaults, they are not the standard ERC 4626 vaults. So ERC 4626 is like a standard vault protocol like ERC20 on Ethereum, but the Beefy vaults are not ERC 4626. They use a custom interface. So again, as I said in the beginning, context is very important while vibe coding. So if you're building your AI agent using Claude Code or Codex, you need to keep this in mind, right? You need to tell the agent that Bonzo Vaults is a fork of Beefy Finance, and literally, this is like the most important piece of information that you need. Once you tell this to Claude Code, it will know exactly what you're talking about, right? Uh, if you say that, hey, Bonzo, build an AI agent for Bonzo Vaults, it might not know what is Bonzo Vaults, but if you tell Claude Code that you're building something for Beefy Finance, then it will know exactly what you're talking about, right? And again, if you're building AI agents for Bonzo Vaults, you have to remember that these are not ERC 4626. They have a custom interface. So if you go to the Bonzo documentation, Bonzo docs on docs.bonzo.finance, you can see all the smart contracts there. You can see find all the addresses there on the mainnet, and you can use those addresses in your AI agent and interact with those contracts. All the interfaces are standard beefy finance interfaces, so you don't need to invent anything new. All your coding tools will know those interfaces by heart, so they can start creating agents from the get-go. Uh, so again, if you compare the beefy vaults or Bonzo vaults with ERC4626, one of the major differentiators there is the deposit function. So when you deposit some assets into the vault, when you call the deposit function on the contract, it takes assets, right? It takes so for the USDC HBAR vault, it will take USDC and HBAR. But the withdraw function, when you're withdrawing, it will withdraw the shares of the vault, and then you have to convert those so it won't withdraw shares, but your the input in this function will be the shares, number of shares. You're not inputting, or you're not entering the number of assets, amount of assets. You're giving an input of the amount of shares. Yeah. And if you look at the architecture of the vaults, it's like a dual two-level architecture. So at the top, you have the vault contracts, and then you have the strategy contracts. So the vault contracts, they hold the deposits, they hold the assets, and they delegate all the logic to a separate strategy contract. And this strategy contract will interact with all the external contracts, right? So if you look at it like this, you have the vault contract at the top. Your users are going to interact, or your agents are going to interact with the vault contracts. And then the vault contract will talk to the strategy contract, and the strategy contract will talk to everything external. So it could be the Uniswap contract, or the Bonzo Finance contracts, or Stader Labs, or Dowu, or anything else on Hedera. Yeah. And there's another important thing called want tokens. So a want essentially is the unit of a vault. It's the unit of a strategy. So when you're creating strategies, they can consist of native assets like USDC HBAR, like native HTS tokens, or you can create it using LP tokens or other farming tokens as well. Right. For example, you can do an LP position on Sorcerer Swap, and you can use those tokens to create create a new vault, create a new strategy. So you don't need these tokens, want tokens, need not be actual HTS tokens. They can be other DeFi farming tokens as well. Yeah. So now let's go into the main infra contracts of beefy finance or Bonzo vaults. So these are like the main four contracts. Each of the vaults, each of the strategies will have an instantiation of these contracts. So for example, Oracle and Vault Factory are the same across all the contracts, but the vaults and strategies will be separate for each new vault, right? So a vault essentially gives you an ERC20 token. It's an ERC20 contract that takes user deposits, it mints new shares, and it delegates the yield generation to the strategy. So how to generate the yield, how to compound the yield, all that logic, it stays in a strategy. So essentially, when you're creating a new strategy, the vault contract can be similar across all the strategies, but the strategy itself carries all the logic for interacting with the external protocols. As I said, the strategy contract can talk to the Uniswap protocol, to Bonzo Finance, to any other contracts, right? And as I said, strategy contract will deploy the funds into external protocols. Yeah. Then you have the Oracle contracts. So these contracts interact with Chainlink and Supra on Hedera. So on Hedera, currently you have only two main Oracle providers, which is Chainlink and Supra. Chainlink does not have Oracle feeds for all the HTS tokens. Supra is the main Oracle on Hedera. Supra has price feeds for almost all the major HTS tokens on Hedera. They might not have price feeds for like meme coins and all that, but all the major Hedera tokens are covered, including Bonzo, Sauce, Dovu, all these tokens. Yeah. And then you have Vault Factory. So essentially, you call the Vault Factory that will deploy new Vault instances using the minimal proxy, like clone pattern. Yeah. Um, so yeah, let's do a deep dive in one of the Vault contracts that we have built. This is called the Saucer Swap Larry Reward Strategy. It's a mouthful. It's a big name, but what it does is so this is actually the dual asset DEX vault, dual asset DEX contract. So when you are depositing your USDC and HBAR into this contract, you're actually calling the deposit function. And when you call the deposit function, you're sending your USDC and HBAR tokens to this contract. This contract then takes your tokens and it creates an LP position on Saucer Swap. It gets a Saucer Swap NFT, and that's where you start auto compounding your rewards, right? So it collects the pool fees from the Saucer Swap position. It does what we call harvesting, which also means auto compounding. So we have a few bots running in the background, which keep on auto compounding your yield every 3-4 hours depending on the vault, right? So some bots call the harvest function every 4 hours, some of them call it every 6 hours. So depending on the market conditions, depending on the volatility, depending on the emission of rewards from Saucer Swap, we have different configurations for those bots. uh, then on Saucer Swap, as you know, a very unique thing is the Larry rewards. So not every, but a lot of the LP liquidity pools on Saucer Swap, they emit Larry rewards on a fixed schedule, right? So I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks. So every 2 or 3 weeks they have an epoch, and after that time, they send the Larry rewards tokens to all the reward holders or all the LP holders, essentially, right? So what happens is this strategy contract, which has created a Saucer Swap LP position, it keeps getting these Larry rewards, and we have another function which does process rewards. So it converts the Larry rewards into the two main tokens of this pool or of this contract. So in case of USDC and HBAR, if the Larry rewards are in USDC, so the contract will keep getting USDC at every epoch, and it will convert the USDC tokens into equivalent amounts of HBAR tokens as well. And then it keeps on auto compounding your yield, as I said, right? It will again create a new LP position on Saucer Swap. Not a new LP position. It will add to your LP position, and it will auto compound your yield. There's another function called rebalancing. Another function called MoveTix. So the way these vaults work, it's based on this on a very special mechanism created by the Beefy finance team. It's called concentrated liquidity management. So the way they do rebalancing is very interesting. They don't just remove all the liquidity and keep adding them every time. What they do is they have two positions. One is called a main position, and one is an alt position, like an alternate position. So the main position is around like 10 to 15% across around the current price range, right? So let's say the price of H bar right now is 10 cents. The main position will be like 10% above and 10% below that. So in this case, it will be like 9 cents to 11 cents. So based on this, your position on Saucer Swap will be between 9 cents and 11 cents, and your position will be earning fees in that very narrow range. And sometimes when we have to do some rebalancing, we call this function called MoveTix. In this function, it claims the earnings, it removes liquidity, and it rebalances the position if we need to do it. Yeah. Um, and these Bonzo Vault contracts, they also charge you some fees. So every time rebalancing is done, every time auto compounding is done, these contracts, they charge like a basis point of fees, and that's how the protocol keeps earning some revenue. and the remaining fees, like almost 90-95%, are distributed between all the users of the protocol, all the people who have created positions, and they get like a prorated reward. So if you, let's say, if your position is only $100 and the total TVL is $1,000, so you're going to get 10% of the fees, or 10% of the rewards essentially, in your position. And again, these contracts have all the standard access controls, owners, keepers who can just add reward tokens, change routes, do all these things. Yeah. So yeah, that brings us to almost the last part of this workshop today. So what can you build using Bonzo vaults, right? So as I said earlier, you can ask Cloud Code to build you something cool that can win you the hackathon, but that's not going to help you. What you need to tell Cloud Code is like very specific instructions. So you can, these are just like 4 ideas. You can go well beyond this. You can create anything that you want, but these are just some examples, right? So what we have built right now is we have built strategies to integrate with Saucer Swap mainly, because that has the largest TVL, and we had to prioritize because of the market conditions, because we saw like there's a bear market coming. So with a bear market approaching, we didn't want to spread the liquidity thin by going across major protocols, like a lot of protocols on Hedera. Uh, so as a business, we decided to focus mainly on saucer swap positions, and hence we went out with the single asset dex wants and dual asset dex wants. But for the hackathon, you can go wild. You can integrate with any protocol on Hedera. You can integrate with, let's say, Bonzo Labs, Bonzo Finance Labs. You can integrate with Stader Labs, like HBAR-X tokens. You can integrate with, let's say, meme coins, other pools on Saucer Swap, other low liquidity tokens, or you can also integrate with layer zero Stargate. So you can integrate, you can essentially have some hooks on the layer zero OFT contracts, right? So just as an example, on layer zero, when you bridge any tokens from, let's say, Arbitrum or Base on Hedera, you can have a hook on that OFT contract, which will immediately send that liquidity to Bonzo vaults, or immediately it will send that liquidity to Saucer Swap, or do like all kinds of things. So there's a lot of things possible with this, and I think sky is the limit. Yeah. Or otherwise, you can build. So if you don't want to touch the Bonzo Vaults protocol, if you don't want to build new strategies, if it is too complex, you can build some harvester and keeper bots to earn fees. Because harvesting can be done by anyone. I made a mistake here. You can't actually write keeper bots, but you can build harvester bots, and you can keep harvesting rewards. So these bots, as you know, the gas fees on Hedera are quite low. So if you build a harvester bot and keep harvesting, you can keep earning, small amounts of fees, and it can add up in the future, right? If the TVL on Bonzo vaults goes to multiple millions, the harvesting fees can become quite lucrative. Again, no promises, no financial advice, but yeah, these are just some ideas. And another thing that you could build is some integration and tooling. So when we build Bonzo vaults, we did not build all the bells and whistles around it. We went with the main infra contracts, and went with the main strategies. We haven't built any of the associated, helper contracts, I would say. So you can build that in this hackathon. So as I mentioned, the Bonzo vaults are not ERC 4626 compliant. But if you look at any other major protocols on Ethereum, like Morpho or anything else, they are ERC 4626 compliant. So you could possibly build like a ERC 4626 wrapper and make it compatible across all other Ethereum protocols. You could build Zap contracts for DEXs. So for example, if you want to deploy into the USDC HBAR vault and you only have USDC in your wallet, so now instead of going to Saucer Swap, what you can do is you can build like a helper function on the UI, or you can build an AI agent which will integrate with Saucer Swap. and it can just swap your tokens directly and put it in the Bonzo Vault strategy. Uh, you could do all of this in like one transaction, or you could do it in multiple transactions. Again, up to you. But the idea is you can build some wrapper contracts around Bonzo vaults. You can build some integration and tooling around Bonzo vaults, and there's a lot of ideas around this, right? And then coming to like pure AI agents using like line graph and using again open AI models or any LLM models, you can use all the intelligence of these LLM models to come up with some nice and intelligent rebalancing strategies, right? Because right now what happens is Bonzo vaults rebalance on a specific cadence. We keep changing it, but we can't keep changing it every day. We can't keep changing it every hour, right? But your AI agent, can start doing this on a very intelligent basis. I don't know, like again, these are just ideas, no financial advice, but you can ask your open AI model or your Claude bot to come up with some really cool strategies to rebalance the vaults based on some market conditions, some market data, some market intelligence, right? Or you can create like a health monitoring system for vaults. You can see how you can monitor the health of the vaults. You can maybe monitor the APYs on the vaults and do some nice like in and out of the vault based on the APY and other market conditions, or you could like compare. Okay, if you go through Bonzo vaults, are you getting more APY from that, or are you getting more APY from the Larry reward, right? So you can have like multiple strategies like that, and your AI agents can have like a brain of their own. Try to look at some market data, try to look at some APIs, and take some actions based on that. Or otherwise, you can also do like a multi-vault DCA strategy. DCA means dollar cost averaging. So again, no financial advice, but let's say you want to deploy $1,000 worth of USDC. Uh, you could build an AI agent that does the DCA for you across multiple Bonzo vaults, right? So it could do it in the USDC H bar vault. It could do it in USDC WBTC. It could do it in USDC H bar. Sorry, USDC Ether vault, for example. So yeah, there's multiple ideas that you can build using this technology and using the Bonzo vaults protocol. Uh, and yeah, these are just some of the ideas. Uh, yeah, I think that's it for today in this workshop. Do we have any questions, Shalin?
Hey Gaurang, thank you so much for that insightful session. And yes, we have questions. I just wanted to say that you did a fantastic job explaining
Thank you.
Bonzo as the liquidity layer of Hedera. And yeah, and along with Bonzo Land, Bonzo Vault, and the different vault types, I've been taking note. So the content was quite technical and fundamental
Yep,
heavy,
yep.
but you made it complex technology and underlying logic clear and easy to understand. So for everyone, if you're interested in learning more about Bonzo's bounty and taking part, please be sure to join the Hedera Hello Future Apex Hackathon. Simply head to the bounty section and look for Bonzo bounty statement and get started. And remember, you're also absolutely welcome to participate in both the main tracks and any of the Mountie challenges. So, how to do that? Please scan the QR code on the screen to be taken straight to the hackathon page. There's only one QR code here, so you won't get confused. All right. Now, I'll proceed to the live Q&A session. We have received some questions here. Um, okay, we have this question. Can a coin be created for services?
Yes, the answer is yes. You can create any token on Hedera. It's actually very easy and cheap to create a new token on Hedera, but I would say you have to create like an HTS token, which is like the easiest to do. You can use the Hedera SDK to create that token. But I would say the problem or like the limitation right now is that, just give me a second, bring the screen here. Yeah. The biggest problem right now is Bonzo Vaults doesn't support any new tokens. Bonzo Vaults only supports tokens that we have on the platform right now, in the protocol right now. So your new token might not be compatible with Bonzo Vaults or Bonzo Lend. That's the only limitation. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thanks for that. Next question we have. Is there a recommended approach for indexing or
Hmm.
streaming Bonzo market and vault state for real-time agent decision making example using mirror nodes versus
Hmm.
marketplace APIs?
Yes, what I would say is so now when it comes to Bonzo Lend, especially, there are like 25 to 30 smart contracts. Again, if you go to docs.bonzo.finance, you can go look at addresses of all these contracts on the in the documentation, and this is actually a little challenging technically because indexing and getting the latest data on Hedera has been a challenge. Not a challenge really; it's just time consuming. So there are ways to do this. You can use the graph nodes, you can use the mirror nodes, you can use a lot of these things, but the problem is doing it at scale and doing it efficiently. So yeah, it will take some time. If I have done it in the past, so I can tell you it could take you anywhere from 3 to 5 days to actually have that API which indexes all the contracts and gives that data to you in a structured format. Yeah, it's just time consuming. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Gaurang, do you mind to type me on the Slack just the
Mhm.
resource that you were pertaining to a while ago so I can share it with our participants online?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you. Okay. Now I'll proceed to the
Mhm.
third question. Can we use Bonzo with testnet to validate some ideas before going mainnet?
Yes, absolutely. And again, I would like to apologize because our documents are a little outdated for the testnet right now. We have changed some testnet contract addresses, and we will be updating the documentation quite soon, maybe by tomorrow. But yeah, you can absolutely use testnet to validate your ideas. But again, the only limitation is that testnet is only available for Bonzo Lend and not for Bonzo vaults. And that is because Bonzo vaults, by their whole nature, the contracts have to integrate with other external contracts on Hedera. And we decided to go on the mainnet directly. We obviously did a lot of testing and a lot of audits, two audits, in fact. Uh, but yeah, you can't use Bonzo vaults on the testnet. You can use only Bonzo Lend on testnet.
Okay, got it. If you have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to type in on our live chat. All right. But thanks so much for answering, Gaurang. Next, this is not so clear for me, but Gaurang, please help me do
Mhm.
so. Thank you. How is IO handled going OOR to button?
Yes. And again, this is a great question, Chris. Thanks for this. So, for those of you who might not know what this question means, so IL means impermanent loss. So, when you supply liquidity on any DEX like Uniswap or Saucer Swap, there's always a risk of having impermanent loss, and that's why with the Bonzo vaults, I told you about the CLM vaults, right? So, the CLM is a strategy of rebalancing. So you have one main position and one all position. So the Bonzo vaults are not rebalancing every 10 minutes if the position goes out of range, especially in a volatile market. But they have the main position and the alt position. And rebalancing only happens if the position goes completely out of whack, or let's say the prices go down by like 20-30% in like half an hour. Only then the rebalancing happens. Otherwise, the positions stay there around that price, and that's how Beefy Finance tries to mitigate impermanent loss. I wouldn't say that we have found out a way to completely avoid impermanent loss, but this is one way, one really smart way in which Beefy Finance tries to reduce that loss. Yeah. Again, when you deploy your funds in Bonzo vaults, there's always a risk that you might lose your money. So be careful with that. This is like a completely new paradigm for yield optimization. So yeah, be careful with that.
Okay, got it. Thanks for that. Chris actually has a follow-up question. Can you do one-sided above or below spot?
Yes, you can do it, but on Saucer Swap, not on Bonzo vaults really, because on Bonzo vaults the ranges are pre-configured in the code, in the contracts, and also on the UI sometimes. But you can absolutely create your own AI agent, which can integrate with the Saucer Swap contracts directly, and it can do above or below spot. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to pay some question that we have received prior to this workshop. Here's the first one. I have three. Okay, I'm sharing it on our live chat. Is there a recommended that you consider best practice for automated strategies on Bonzo?
Hey, sorry, I lost you there for a minute. Yeah,
All right.
I can see the question now. Yeah, sorry, I can see the question.
Okay.
Recommended buffer. Yes, absolutely. So what we recommend essentially is to be very safe with your positions. In the past, we have always said that your health factor needs to be above, or needs not needs to be, but ideally it should be about 2 or ideally about 3. So don't go too close to 1, because as you know, if we go below 1, you can get liquidated. So do not go below 1 in any case, definitely, or even close to 1. Keep it about 2 to be safe, and ideal is to keep it about 3. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. I have another question for you. Maybe hold on. All right, here we go. What internal vault metric or signals beyond APY and utilization would you recommend an AI agent monitor to make smarter rebalance or harvest decisions?
Uh, yes. So actually, again, this is a great question. So what I would recommend is, again, personally, is rather than some internal metrics, you should look at some external metrics like the total TVL for these assets across Hedera, maybe the price of these assets in the market, or the market depth, or the direction in which the prices are moving, because that's more important than the internal metrics. Because vaults essentially are just an interface on Saucer Swap or any other external protocol. So I think what's more important is to look at the market as a whole. As in my examples, I told you that you can look at multiple data sources, and it's so easily available right now. You can connect your agent with internet, and you can ask it to make some decisions based on some guardrails. So yeah, I would say look outside, not inside in this case. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, before I proceed to my last question, Chris has thank you, Gaurang.
You're most welcome.
All right, my last question from our question before this workshop. Are there any upcoming features planned for Bonzo Agent Keep plugin that would make autonomous keeper agents more powerful or safer?
Yes, absolutely. We are working on some features, but I don't think we can push them to production before the end of this hackathon, unfortunately. So if you guys want to build something, you can extend the open source repo, and you can build your own features. Because right now we are focusing on getting the bridge out of the way and launch it by next month. So yeah, our team has their hands full, so we might not be able to launch anything new right now.
Got it. Thanks for answering all those. And
Mhm.
yes, that's the last question that we have. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can send your question using this form. I will send it once again in the chat. Oh, okay. We have one more. Maybe hold
Mhm.
on. Yeah, let me just finish this. Okay, so if you have any more questions after this workshop, please put in that question on the form. We will reach out to Gaurav and we'll reach back to you once he answers.
Mhm.
Okay, we have one more question here. On the AI agent's point for strategy rebalances and multi-vault DCA, what signals Oracle feeds utilization,
Mhm.
vault health are best to feed into automated decision loops?
Mm. Again, really great question. I personally have been working on some side projects, like personal side projects, to do these kind of like rebalancers and DCA and all these things. So what I have found out personally is, again, as I said, don't look internally, look externally, and see with LLMs and with these AI agents. One of the superpowers of these agents is the ability to process information and ability to process a lot of like data, right? So as humans we can't possibly comprehend so much data, but if you give this data to the AI agent, it can process all of it, and it can use that data to make decisions. So as I said in the very second slide, context is very important for these AI agents and these agentic coding frameworks. So what I would suggest is, yes, you can look at Oracle feeds, you can look at utilization, vault health, but beyond that, look at the market as a whole, and not just the blockchain market. You can even look at macro signals outside blockchain, right? So, for example, with the possible war happening, what might happen to the markets? If you can feed that information to your AI agents, it might get just one more signal. But again, be careful with this, because these agents, as you know, are not deterministic. They are probabilistic. So they might make some mistakes. They might make some wrong calls. So what you need to do is you need to add some guardrails around your agents, right? So for example, um, you can give them permission only to spend, I don't know, $1,000 every month. So just as an example, or $500 a month, right? And for any single transaction, you can say that, hey, you can only spend like $100, right? That way, it won't take all your money and put it in like a losing asset or something, and you lose all your money. So always have those guardrails. Always have some sensible limitations for your agents. Don't give them access to your crypto wallets completely. Otherwise, you might lose your money. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that, Gaurang. I have a new question here. They don't want to let you
Mhm.
go. So we have we have another question here. What's the easiest way to get started with Bonzo as a complete beginner for the hackathon?
Again, cloud code. No, seriously. Like before this workshop, I was actually chatting with my cloud code to go back in the documentation and help me validate some of my own answers and slides. And by the way, cloud code and all these agentic frameworks, they have indexed Bonzo very well. They have indexed the Bonzo documentations also very well. So literally, you can go and ask them. But again, you have to give some context. You have to say that, hey, I have this question about Bonzo Finance on Hedera, and if you ask them actually what is the contract address for the USDC HBAR vault on mainnet, Hedera mainnet, Cloud Code will give you the address literally. Again, you have to enable your internet access and all that. Be careful with that. So, but yeah, literally, you can ask them, and they have it indexed right now. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Please visit Clockcode and then get started. All right, for everyone, please catch Gaurang as a mentor for the Hedera Hello Future Apex Hackathon and meet him during the mentor's office hours on March 9 and 12 and get the chance to chat with him directly. So don't miss that opportunity and tune in on Discord for the latest hackathon announcement so you won't miss any of this. Gaurang, would you want to say any closing remarks to our participants before we go?
No, I think I covered a lot of things in this workshop today, but again, I would like to reiterate that none of this was financial advice, and whatever you're doing with your AI agents when it comes to crypto is always very risky. So be careful. Have some sensible limitations for your agents and your contracts, and yeah. Be paranoid, like be completely paranoid, and always think that these AI agents are going to make a mistake. Treat them like a junior intern, right? You wouldn't give your bank access to a junior intern, right? Because he might go and spend it on something. Yeah, yeah, come at it from that perspective. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, everyone. Heed that advice, okay? All right, before we end this session, tomorrow, March 3rd, at 6 p.m. Singapore time, we have our last AMA session. It is a good time for you to ask on public podium and get a one-on-one mentorship as well with the Hedera expert in a private room. So this AMA is different for our mentors office hours. So for the AMA, this is our last one. This is our third. And once again, this is a 6 p.m. Singapore time. I will leave the link here for you to join. By the way, this place is always open, but definitely it's not every time manned with the experts of Hedera. So please tune in during the time that I'll be posting. All right. So yeah, the link that I've left there is something that you can access and you can join us tomorrow. So once again, 6 p.m. Singapore time, our last AMA, and your last chance to win an extra $40 by asking questions, attending the AMA, and talking to a mentor. And a quick reminder, this week is a full of workshops, and this is the start, March 2, as this will be the last week for us to blast with lessons and learning opportunities to our participants like you. So please head to the Discord of Hedera, join, and you will not miss any important announcements. For everyone, keep showing up, keep building, and here's to making big waves at the Apex Hackathon. Everyone, have a good one tonight, today, wherever you are. Goodbye and thank you. See you
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, Shalin.
Thank you, Gaurang.